start with the real problems that you have right now. When people come to see me, they often wonder, what should I be looking at, working on? And I remind them, start with the real problems that are in your field right now. And real to you, not the idea that something should be real, but what's actually really taking up most of your bandwidth right now. Hi, I'm Nick, former medical doctor turned soul doctor, and I work with breath work, with plant medicines, with psychedelics, with expanding consciousness, and I create ceremonial practices to help people experience what they need to experience to find what they're looking for. And I'm going to talk about problems today because we often try to avoid things, try to avoid talking about them, try to get into the esoteric, try to get into the spiritual right away, as opposed to what's really here. And my focus this year is health, wealth, family, freedom. And most of the problems that people have actually fall into these categories, however you stratify them. But I'll start with health. A lot of the people that come see me, there's some major health issue. Cancer, ALS, autoimmune disease, and then you can talk about the psychological stuff too, depression, suicidality, anxiety, PTSD, but there's something there, and it's such a reminder. We forget sometimes. I take for granted my health until something hits me and it's like, oh, okay, I need to actually deal with this. And oftentimes we're trying to ignore it, suppress it. There's a pain that's been there. There's tinnitus, there's insomnia, there's something there. Start with that. And the reminder as I start this process of inviting you to look at your problems is you don't have to know the solution or think of the solution or get the solution. And I say that because oftentimes we want to avoid the problems because we're like, I can't figure it out anyway, so why bother talking about it? The whole point of stepping into a container like this is that you don't have to figure it all out yourself. Mind, body, soul connecting will actually find more wisdom than anything else. And here's a little pre-secret, is you probably already know some of the solutions. It's actually just implementing it. It's actually getting excited about it. It's actually following through. It may even be a time period. Hey, you did it once, but what would happen if you did it 100 times? And I say that because sometimes people are like, how did you get to where you are, where you've healed from your asthma, healed from that? I'm like, I can tell you about the event that happened where I can talk about the turning point. Sometimes I go back to the story of ayahuasca, but I can talk about the regularity of the practices I do, whether it's the daily breath work, whether now it's the daily enemas, whether it's the daily sunshine, and it's actually seeing these things over and over again and having it stack up on top of itself. So there's the problems with health. There's the problem with wealth. Oftentimes, if you are hitting rock bottom for money, whether it's debt, whether it's the loss of income, whether it's expenses coming up, something else, it's hitting you hard. And it doesn't have to be the absolute. I've had people who've had millions of dollars be like, I am on the brink of not surviving. And I have people with just a $500 being like, you know what, I've got all the money I need to pay for this because I know this is worthwhile. And I say this because money is such a big component of what we've been patterned into. What it means, what we're supposed to be making, how it affects our net worth of ourself as well, not just our net assets. And something that we keep secretive, we don't talk about, we have shame about. Oh, I lost this. Oh, I gained this. Oh, I've been successful, but I don't know who to talk about. Oh, I've been a failure, but I can't let anyone see this. And I have to hide. I've got to pretend. I've got to borrow to maintain an image. And so money is usually a big part of it. But money and wealth and all those things are different concepts. And sometimes we get it all mixed up and jumbled up. So that's the next one. And then family. Family means the immediate biological family, whether you've got issues with the parents, siblings. Oftentimes there's something there, right? It took me decades to get to the point where I went from my parents are to blame for everything that has happened in my life to realizing, oh my God, I'm really grateful for my life. Can I actually see my parents as the gift that has given me everything as well? And their parents and their parents and their parents, the living lineage we are. But also the other one is family is that closest intimate partner, right? I've had people come to me with the idea of divorce lately, with the idea of infidelity, with the idea of breakups, with the idea of looking for their partner as well, looking for, why can't I have a baby? Why is there infertility? Why is there this? And finding the blockages that are there, the blockages that are there. And sometimes it's the self-hate, sometimes it's the self-story, sometimes it's the mirroring of patterns, but making space for it. Again, when we identify the problems, it doesn't mean we have to identify the solutions. Just breathing into it, just being with it, stuff will bubble up. It's having the awareness that something is there and the awareness that there's space for it. And then freedom. Oftentimes In today's world, especially with all that's going on, it feels like crisis around us. Whatever you believe in, whatever your political beliefs, wherever you live, there are stories about how there is oppression. There's stories about how there is war. There's stories about how there is lack of fairness, lack of justice. And I say that because most of you would be bewildered by my own current political beliefs, but know that I've been on all the different spectrums that I can see so far, and there's so many more that I haven't seen. And part of it is I've been listening recently a reminder that my political spectrums are a reflection of my Western political spectrums, because that's the culture that I've been brought up in. But just in traveling to other countries and seeing different ways of living and having different lineages, it's helping to re-expose me to, oh, there's so many different ways that I hadn't even considered as a possibility, because it wasn't a possibility. And I say that because I both want to escape from where I am for a different level of freedom, and recognizing that there's freedom and unfreedom everywhere. It's not better or worse. Moving is just one of the most beautiful things I think we can do. We can move, we can find a new partner, we can find a new career, we can find a new sense of self wherever we are. But sometimes the external can reflect the internal, and the internal can reflect the external. And what I love working with is, let's take a look at that internal state. Let's take a look at what we've identified as problems. Let's take a look at the real stuff. And the real stuff is whatever is real in your head, not what someone says. Oh, that's a real problem that you haven't, filed your taxes, or that's a real problem that you haven't figured out where to move, or that's a real problem that you haven't taken this treatment for this disease. That's someone else's idea of a real problem. What is your real problem? What is the thing that's taking up your bandwidth? What's taking up your consciousness? And that's what we want to explore. And I say that because I love diving this personally, and you're going to hear more and more about this work that I'm doing with organizations, with groups, and it's a different space and a place to dive in things. It's a different level of accessibility. It's a different level of creation and co-creation when we do that in a group. A lot of love. Ciao for now.